for funsies. So if you're subtracting x and dividing by a negative, it's going to be positive because a negative divided by a negative is positive. But in your case on 3 and 4, after you've subtracted x, you're dividing by a positive, so it's going to stay negative. But this case, you have this as your coefficient of x. That's your fraction, 1 over 5. Don't forget your x. And then 20 divided by negative 5 here is negative 4. So if you need to make corrections to numbers 3 and 4 on your quiz, take a minute to look at 3 and 4 on your quiz to make sure you're getting everything. You might need to fix some signs, or you might need to, I don't know what you did. This is a hard down. This is a hard down. Where is it? Not positive. Because you subtracted that, so I don't not see anywhere where you subtracted an x. You subtracted an x here, but you lost that negative sign. There's no negative 1 in here. This is your answer, Jackson. Okay, do you see a negative 1 somewhere? That's why I'm trying to help you quick sick. So this you need to write as a fraction next to x. And I have no idea what's it. Probably the same thing. You subtract an x and you divide by a positive, your coefficient of x should be negative. Give me your phone, Jackson. You're not even on it? No. I got it. Okay, so if it's not off and put away, it's mine. And put it away. I'm putting it away. Why does it take 5 warnings for the entire class to figure it the heck out? All right, so are we okay in 3 and 4? Do we need another minute on 3 and 4 on your quiz? All right. Lucas, are you good over there on 3 and 4? Okay. All right, so the first couple are a little bit different than 3 and 4. That's why I liked number 11 for that, because if I'm subtracting the x term from both sides, I now have 3y is equal to, bring down your x term, minus 2x, bring down your constant. And then I'm still dividing everything by the coefficient of y. So in number 1, you would divide everything by 5. In number 2, you would divide everything by 7. Here, we're dividing everything by 3. So here, y is equal to, look at your fraction, write your fraction, negative 2/3 x, and then 6 divided by 3 is 2. So plus 2. So make sure you make corrections to numbers 1 and 2 using that. So if it's helpful, we can write number 1 and 2 and number 3 and 4. So you know what they correspond to on your quiz. So take a minute to do that now on your quiz so that you're not like, okay, wait, what did she say? Right? All right, are you ready to hop over? Okay, so looking at the next part, we're determining the x and y intercepts. So I'm going to turn to page 7. You can fold down page 3 if you want to, like I did. This is page 7. So the first part is just determining what they are. So if we're putting in a 0 for x, we're finding the y-intercept. So if I put a 0 here, I simply have negative 4y equals 8. So this is for your y-intercept. If you're solving for y, you're finding your y-intercept, okay? So if I'm dividing both sides by negative 4, I have y equals negative 2. So that is my y-intercept for here. My x-intercept, I'm putting a 0 in for y. So if I put in a 0 for y, this whole thing goes away. And I'm literally left with x equals 8. Because 4 times 0 is 0. So x minus nothing is 8. So x has to equal 8. So this one is just like 5 and 6. So make sure you fix 5 and 6. Make sure if you have a positive divided by a negative, it's negative. Or the other one is a positive divided by a positive, that would stay positive. Lillian, can you put your bag down for me? All right, so we are gonna look a little bit about what we would do on 9 and 10 using this as well, because if we're plotting our y-intercept of negative 2, we need to plot that on the y-axis. So negative 2 would be down 2 from the center, right? Our x-intercept is on our x-axis where x equals 8. So we're putting a point there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to the end. Now, just like you're going to do on 9 and 10, you need 2 points to draw a line. So it's asking you for the graph of the line for 9, 10, 11, and 12. And this is how we would do that if we know the x and y intercepts. So for 9, you're putting a point where x equals 1 and a point where y equals 5. And then you're drawing a line through them. Don't put a point where y equals 5 and x equals 1. Put a point where x equals 1 and y equals 5. Don't mix them up. All right. And so number 10 looks a lot like number 7 and 8. So if x is 0 and we're finding the y-intercept, we just have 8y equals negative 40. Then you just have to remember when you're solving for y, you're getting the y-intercept. So y equals -5 here. So this is a y-intercept of 0, -5. And then for our x-intercept, we have something 0. So if we put in a 0 for y, this is going away and we have 10x equals -40. So x is equal to -4. And that's what we would put in place of the x here. So just like we did for number 9 in our quiz, we're going to plot these x-intercepts for number 10 too. So I know number 10 isn't exactly like this, but you're going to plot on your x-axis your x-intercept. So -4 is this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. On number 10 in your quiz, though, you're plotting your x-intercept at x equals 3. So plot that on your x-intercept and then on your x-axis. And then your y-intercept is at -5 for this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it is at, what is it for number 10? Hey, same thing. So this line is going to look different on number 10, but your y-intercept point is going to be the same. So make sure you know for number 10 on your quiz where to put the x-intercept and where to put the y-intercept and how to draw a line. Did we fix those? Do we need another minute for 7 and 8? Those might have taken a little bit longer. Oh. This is what happens. Something keeps happening with my video feed. Okay. That was weird. Sorry about that. Okay. Are we okay? Can we keep moving? We're all right? All right. So the next part that I earmarked was on page 11 because this were like 11 and 12 on the graphing stuff. So this is page 11 in your packet. So anytime we have the equation y equals a number, we're finding where y equals that number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Y equals that number here. And then we're drawing a horizontal line through that. So that's what you're doing for number 11. Finding where y equals -1. And for number 12, anytime we have x equals a number, we're finding where x equals a number and putting a vertical line through that. So that's what you're doing for number 12 on your quiz. So make sure you've fixed those. So this one looks like this, but through y equals -1. Where does y equal -1? And then draw a horizontal line through it. And then number 12, you're finding where x equals -5. I know this example is x equals -2, but you need to hopefully jump from one to the next, right? You fix those? So fix those real quickly. So I would not look at your notes. I would look at what I just did because you did not do the stuff that you were doing. Y equals our horizontal lines, X equals our vertical lines. So you're finding where Y equals -1 and putting a horizontal line through it. And you're finding where X equals, was it -5? Yes. Finding where X equals -5 and putting a vertical line through it. So draw a horizontal line. You know what a horizontal line is? I just did an example right here for number 8. So draw a line through it. Kaden, wake up. I'm trying to help you. Giving you all these free points. All right, come on, Noah. Go, go, go. All right, so what does a horizontal line look like? Look at this top one right here. Right here. There you go. All right, do your vertical line. Figure out where X equals -5. Good. And draw a vertical line through there. Not a horizontal line, vertical line. All right. Some of you guys aren't quite awake this morning. The next page I want to jump to in your packet is page 15. This is page 15 in your packet. These are like numbers 13, 14, 15, and 16. So I gave you credit if you didn't really simplify it. It should have been simplified, but I know that's the hardest part for many of you. But remember, you're taking the second Y value minus the first Y value. So be careful here. If you have a negative for your second one, you're really going to be adding it. Okay? Same thing here, your second X value minus your first X value. This is what we practiced for like a million pages in our packet. So if you didn't do the practice, then you might not have had that opportunity to do well there. But for number 6, in this case, we have a negative plus a bigger positive is 6. And here, this is nope, 2. So this is 3. This is actually the same answer as one of your ones in your quiz. Different way to get it though. And then here we would take your second Y value minus your first Y value all over your second X minus your first. So this becomes 6/5. So I think you had a couple whole integers for answers on 13 through 16 and a couple fractions, if I recall correctly. Gonna give you a minute to be sure you've got those slopes done. Remember, negative divided by a negative is positive. I had some of you say negative divided by a negative is still negative. That was a little bit of a hang up for some of you. Everybody still fixing slopes in their quiz? Yes, okay. Oh, wait. We are going to look at point slope form. So I'm going to jump to my next earmarked section, which I earmarked page 18 in your packet. So we're simply using the form y, and then the opposite of the y value is equal to the slope times the quantity of x and the opposite of the x value. That's where you can be done here for number 17 and 18 on your quiz. Some of you still wanted to make it more difficult for yourself. So you're going to write y, and then whatever the opposite of this y value is for that point, you're going to write it right here. So if it was a negative one, I would have written a positive one. Then I'm going to put an equal sign. And then I'm going to put my slope right here. Then I'm going to open my parentheses and write an x. And then I'm going to take the opposite of the x value here. So in this case, it is -7. And then I'm going to close my parenthesis. That's it. El Dunzo. That's all you have to do for number 17 and for number 18. So if you want to see that again, like here for number 10, you're going to write y and then the opposite of your y value. Then you're going to write an equal sign. Then you're going to write your slope. Don't forget the sign. Then you're going to open parenthesis x and the opposite of your x value. That's all you're doing for number 17 and 18. Go sit down. We're like literally going over these right now. I'm trying to help you so you can fix any mistakes. So because we didn't have to multiply through by a fraction, I grabbed this one over here. So you see in numbers 19 and 20, once we get to this part, right now, all of a sudden this looks like 19 or 20. So the first thing you have to do is distribute. So I'm going to bring down the left side. And when I say distribute, a lot of you are doing this, multiplying by the first part, but then you're forgetting to multiply by the second term. So be sure you've multiplied by the first term and the second term for numbers 19 and 20. So this should be 7x minus 7. So in this part, in 19, it should say 2x minus 6. So make sure you've made those corrections. In this part, in number 20, it should be negative 4x minus 16. And then to get y by itself, we're taking the opposite of this constant from both sides. So a lot of you got this slope with the coefficient of x right, but then this was wrong because you didn't multiply by this second part. So this part is negative 11. You need to solve 19 and 20. And then for 21, I'm going to leave that as extra credit. You can fix that, though, if you didn't get it quite right on your quiz. But remember, when you're looking at the slope-intercept form, you need to figure out the slope, and you need to figure out the y-intercept. I think you can figure out the slope, but if you look at those points well enough, you should be able to figure out your y-intercept as well for that extra point there to help you. So you've got about almost 10 minutes to make any corrections or finish up. Make sure you're checking your signs. Make sure you're going over the ones that were marked wrong to be sure you try and fix them for this second chance opportunity. All right. When you're done,